Hello learners, welcome to our Environmental Science Senior Secondary course of IONS. I am Nilam Gupta, course coordinator of this subject. Welcome you all in this program. Learners, earlier we have studied different sources of water, importance of fresh water, as without which there would be no life on earth, and we have already discussed about groundwater and freshwater resources to their uses and significance for maintaining the quality of fresh water. So, we all know nowadays water scarcity is threatening to assume alarming proportion of world over, and in case of India, thousands of villages are without regular sources of drinking water. You have seen many women and children walk a long distances every day to carry meagre amount of water. So, we need this is a need of time to conserve the water for the present and for the future generation. So, during this session we will discuss about need and importance of water conservation, need for water harvesting, different methods of traditional water harvesting and different methods of modern water harvesting. So, why do we need to conserve water? As we know, water is an essential source of natural source for life, and there is no substitute for water, and it is likely to become a scarce source in many regions of the world in the coming decades too. We are facing nowadays water scarcity, but in future there is scarcity for water, basically fresh water. So, we need to develop water harvesting system for India's water security and overall sustainable development. So, why do we feel water scarcity? There is a reason, because water scarcity is further intensified by the human activity. We can say in our day to day life we use more water than in required amount during our bathing and other domestic uses, and one of the most important reason is why we waste it. Water is wasted by leaking taps and overflowing water tanks. We assume you have all experienced water leaking by through taps or overflowing by water tanks. There are numerous interstate and international conflicts also for water, because that is why it is becoming a scarce source. When we talk about the amount of water, we have 2/3 of the water around the earth. Total fresh water and sea water content is of the earth is essentially fixed. Almost 97.3% of water is found in oceans, and this is salt water, and this water cannot be used for human consumption or other living organism consumption, irrigation or industries too. So, 2.7% is a fresh water, and this fresh water is in the form of ice caps or groundwater. So, out of the 2.7% that is fresh water, nearly 2% is ice caps and 0.74% or small fraction of the amount is available in lakes, underground water, river and many other pond and many other sources. So, when we talk about 2.7% of fresh water, so it is a very little amount that is available for our daily consumption, and India is one of the wettest country in the world, but India has uneven distribution of rainfall, resulting in severe water scarcity in many areas. On an average, India receives 1,170 millimeter of rainfall annually, and which is the highest in the world for a country of a smaller size. But however, the average number of rainy days in a year is only 40. So, we know water is one of our most poorly managed resource. We lavishly used, unjudicious use, and we know highest rainfall or wettest place on the earth is Cherrapunji in northeast India, and it was full of dense forest which formed clouds because of indiscriminate cutting down of the forest. Topsoil is washed away by the rain and the area has become barren. So, as a result, villagers in Cherrapunji have to get water from elsewhere. So, when surface water are inadequate to meet our demand, so we have to depend on groundwater. We thought groundwater is empty and we can use as we want. But why we are facing scarcity of water? Answer is due to rapid urbanization and deforestation, recharging of groundwater has diminished. Excessive tapping of groundwater through numerous boreholes or water tube well and boring wells. So, that has led to decline in the water table. So, that is why we have to there is a need for time to conserve water for our agriculture. We use water so why do demand for water? Because we have huge number of population. So, in order to increase our food production, we need more and more irrigation to water our plants. So, we get surplus food production. So, there is an urgent need for conservation of water. So, water conservation in agriculture is essential for sustaining food production, protecting ecosystem and adapting to climate change. So, now some farmers are using most effective techniques today, and these techniques include drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting, irrigation scheduling, mulching, contour farming and terracing. Use of drought tolerant crops is one of the most important part of modern technique. Soil moisture monitoring, cover cropping and recycled water use, and precision agriculture uses GPS, drone and data analysis to apply water and nutrient exactly where needed. So, we need water conservation for agriculture. Why? We know water table is depleting and rising in salinity due to irrigation is a serious matter, and we have arid and semi-arid areas in India. Tank system is traditionally the backbone of our agriculture production. These methods not only conserve water but also improve soil health, reduce energy use and boost crop yields too. If you are curious about how these techniques are being applied in India or want help to implementing them on a farm, so I would be happy to dive deeper. Throughout the world, water crisis is brought about by there are several reasons: population explosion, second, deterioration of water quality due to pollution, disappearance of traditional tanks and ponds, rising needs of industries and agriculture for water, and climate change caused drought. So, these are the factors, and we have only 40 rainy days around the year. We have very long dry period in our country. So, we need to store water in tank, lakes or reservoirs or underground water. With increasing demand of water, these sources are becoming increasing inadequate. So, efforts are being done to retain more and more rainwater for use during dry period. So, rainwater harvesting at local level are doing by simple methods of expanding water supply. So, the most important step in the direction of water conservation is to change people's attitude and behavior. We will talk about little later how can we manage or how can we contribute to conserve water. So, if the world continues to treat water as a cheap resource that can be wasted, then even not the best policies and technologies can help to solve water scarcity. And it is estimated that by the year 2050, half of the world India's population especially will be living in urban areas and will face acute water problems. The augmentation of groundwater by rainwater harvesting is the need of an hour. It is an old technology, it is not a new, gaining popularity in a new way. So, we will now discuss traditional methods of water harvesting in our next section. First, we will talk about the little bit history. It is not a new concept for conserving water, conservation of water. It is a very old technique. It is around. It is found all over the world in our ancient period. So, practice of rainwater harvesting was started during biblical times at around 4000 years ago in Palestine and Greek. In ancient Rome, residences were built and with individual cisterns and paved country courtyard to capture rainwater. As early as the 3rd millennium BC, farming community in Baluchistan and Kutch collect rainwater and use it for irrigation. So, traditional water harvesting methods have been practiced as we know around the world for thousands of years, tailored to local climate, landscape and culture. So, we would like to talk about some ingenious system of water harvesting in around the globe. Quinet, this technique used in Iran, Middle East, Zir ports in North Africa, terracing farming, Andes in Southeast Asia, Carcass, Mexico, rainwater tank in Australia, Wadi system in Middle East, North Africa, bamboo drip irrigation in India and Southeast Asia, floodwater farming in Sudan and Yemen, rooftop catchment system found in global level, and micro catchment system are found sub-Sahara Africa. And these methods reflects deep ecological knowledge and community based innovation. Many are being revived today to combat water scarcity and climate change. So, rainwater harvesting at local level is storing in the form of ponds, tanks, lakes and recharging groundwater. Now, we talk about India. As we know, it is not a new concept for conserving water or use of natural resources very judiciously. Our ancient religious texts gave an idea about the water storage and conservation system that prevailed in those days. So, we will talk about rainwater harvesting system in ancient India. In ancient India, people believed that forests were the mother of rivers and worshipped the sources of the water bodies. We have holy river Ganga, we treat as a mother Ganga. In forest, water seeps gently into the ground and this groundwater in turn feeds wells, lakes and rivers. So, the Indus Valley civilization that flourished along the bank of the river Indus, along western and northern India about 5000 years ago, has sophisticated sewage system, and these people were well acquainted with hygiene, can be seen from the covered drain running beneath the streets of the ruin of both Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. In ancient times, houses of the part of the western Rajasthan were built with rooftop water harvesting system, and another very good example in the city of Dholaviras in Gujarat. What is special about Dholaviras? And it is the largest excavated Harappan site in India, which can be seen by the tourist. All other sites were buried and covered up after the excavation was over, but Dholaviras is unique because it records continuous settlement at one given place for over 1700 years from pre-Harappan to late Harappan period. Each fort in the area had its own water harvesting and storage system in the form of tanks and wells that are still in use today. A large number of forts like Raigad had tanks that supplied water. Underground baked earthen pipes and tunnels to transport water to distant places are still functional at Burhanpur in Madhya Pradesh, Golconda in Bijapur in Karnataka and Aurangabad in Maharashtra. there are some other water harvesting system found in other states also. Jal Talai in Uttar Pradesh, Haveli system in Madhya Pradesh, and Ahar in Bihar. All are the water collecting system or harvesting system. Jal Talai is a reservoir area of less than 5 bighas is called a talai. Haveli system is a traditional rainwater harvesting and cultivation method native to the Bundelkhand region of central India, especially in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, and it has been practiced for over 300 years and is deeply rooted in the region of agrarian culture. Haveli system acted as a reservoir during monsoon and a cultivable land post monsoon, provision made to drain out impounding watering. Ahar refers to a traditional agricultural system in southern Bihar using channels and retention ponds to manage water resources, and is also a reservoir with embankment on 3 sides and are built up at the end of the drainage lines like such as rivulets or artificial work like pines. Under the system, channels are dug into the soil, allowing for water to flow with raised embankment on the sides. These channels is interspersed with small retention ponds useful for collecting excess water. Next system is Khadin, and it also is one of the oldest system. It is found about 130 km away from Pune along with Nana Ghat in the Western Ghat. A large number of tanks were cut into the rocks to provide drinking water to tradesmen. Large ones to create reservoirs known as Khadin, and other methods were applied to check water loss and store runoff. So now we have discussed traditional method of the water harvesting. Now we will move to modern methods of water harvesting, and there are 2 main techniques of rainwater harvesting. First, storage of rainwater on the surface for future use, and second, recharge to groundwater. Storage of rainwater on surface is a traditional technique, and structure uses tank, pond, check dams and many other forms. Recharge of groundwater is a new concept of rainwater harvesting, and the structure generally used are pits, aquifer, trenches, dug well, hand pump, recharge well, recharge shaft, lateral shaft with bore well. So, we will discuss little bit about pits, aquifer, trenches, dug well, because we have already talked about tank, pond, check dams. So, first we will take pits. Pits and recharge pits are constructed for recharging the shallow aquifer. Aquifer is a porous water saturated layer of sand, gravel or bedrock that can yield significant or usable amount of water. These are constructed 1 to 2 meter wide, 1 to 1.5 meter deep, which are backfilled with boulders, gravels, coarse sand. Next one, water from rooftop is collected is in recharge pit, where boulders and charcoal filter the water. Next is trenches. These are constructed when the permeable rock is available at shallow depth. Trench may be 0.5 to 1 meter wide, 1 to 1.5 meter deep and 10 to 20 meter long, depending upon the availability of the water. These are backfilled with filter materials. Next method is dug well. Existing dug wells may be utilized as recharge structure, and water should pass through filter media before putting into dug well. Hand pump, most of the population use hand pump nowadays too. The existing hand pumps may be used for recharging the shallow or deep aquifer if the availability of water is limited. Water should pass through filter media to avoid choking of recharge well. Recharge well of 100 to 300 millimeter diameter are generally constructed for recharging of the deeper aquifer, and water is passed through filter media to avoid choking of recharge wells. Recharge shaft for recharging the shallow aquifer which is located below the clay surface. Recharge shafts of 0.5 to 3 meter diameter and 10 to 20 meter deep are constructed and backfilled with boulders, gravel and coarse sands. Lateral shafts with bore wells for recharging the upper as well as deeper aquifers. Lateral shafts of 1.5 to 2 meter wide and 10 to 30 meter long depending upon the availability of water with 1 or 2 bore wells is constructed. The lateral shaft is backfilled with boulders, gravel and coarse sand. So, the storm runoff may be diverted into the nearest tank or depressions, which will create additional recharge. Now, we will discuss about the diversion of runoff into existing surface water bodies and its benefit. Construction activity in and around the city is resulting in the drying of the water bodies and reclamation of these tanks for conservation into plots for houses. Free flow of storm runoff into these tanks and water bodies can be used as harvesting system. In urban areas, construction of house, footpath and roads has left little exposed earth for water to soak in. We feel it when rain is heavy rain is coming, but all rainwater is freely flow to the drains. So, when in case of the rural area of India, flood water quickly flows into the river, which then dry up. Soon the rain stops. If this water can be held back and allowed it to seep into the ground for recharging the groundwater supply, this become a very popular method of conserving water, especially in urban areas. Rainwater harvesting essentially means collecting rainwater on the roof of the building and storing it underground for later use. So, realizing the importance of recharging of groundwater, Government of India and many state governments, NGOs and other institutions are taking steps to encourage rainwater harvesting in the country. Town planners and civic authorities are introducing by laws making rainwater harvesting compulsory in constructing new buildings. No water or sewage connection would be given if a new building did not have provisions for rainwater harvesting, because there are some benefits of rainwater harvesting in the form of increased water availability, check the declining water table, environmental friendly. It improves the quality of groundwater through the dilution of fluoride, nitrogen and salinity, and it prevents soil erosion and flooding, especially in urban areas. So, there are several case studies regarding rainwater harvesting. So, we will take one or two during this program, and these are the success stories. First success story is of rainwater harvesting is river Rupavale in Rajasthan. This region receives very little rainfall. Water level in the river began declining due to extensive deforestation and agricultural activities along the bank, and by the 1980s a drought like situations were seen. The women of that area take the initiative of building johads or round ponds and dam to hold back rainwater. So, due to water conservation, water is available throughout the year. Second case is related to the at Rashtrapati Bhavan, which was done by the Center for Science and Environment, a New Delhi based NGO. Center for Science and Environment recommends the revival of traditional water harvesting system along with modern technologies. In 1998, the then President of India asked Center for Science and Environment to design rainwater harvesting system in Rashtrapati Bhavan, New Delhi. So, presidential state in a large area and receive water around 800 million liters per year in the form of rainfall. Rainwater from the roof and paved area surrounding Rashtrapati Bhavan is diverted to an underground storage tank for its low quality use. Water passing into the recharge well is passed through a desilting tank to remove pollutants, and CSE also help rainwater harvesting system in schools under Green School program to drain water from lawns. Some of the initiative by taking CSE in the colonies of Vasant Kunj, apartment like Surya Vihar, some institution like Ford institution, universities, Jamia, Hamdard University, clubs, hospitals, industries and slums too. So now we will take another successful and famous case study, that is Tarun Bharat Sangh or TBS. This is a figure of Dr. Rajendra Singh. Mr. Rajendra Singh is a well known water conservationist from Rajasthan. It is also known as the Waterman of India, and he runs an NGO which is called as Tarun Bharat Sangh. He has solved the water problem in Rajasthan to a large extent by using the technique of rainwater harvesting, and his method helped in preventing floods, restored soil and wildlife too. Details will be discussed when we will talk about conservation at different level. Now we would like to discuss about rainwater harvesting at household level. We know all need water harvesting system is rain. Rain is must and a place where it is collected. Rain is collected on rooftop and the other surfaces, and the water is carried down to where it can be used immediately or stored. You can direct water stored to plant and lawn of your house. So rainwater harvesting system has four major components. First, rainwater collection, second one storage, third one is distribution, and fourth one is system maintenance. So we will discuss little bit about each component. First we will talk about rainwater collection. One can capture rainwater from any roof area, patio, driveway or other impermeable surface. Make sure that collected water is kept at least 3 feet away from the foundation of your house. Amount of water you will be able to harvest depend on the size of your catchment area. To determine the amount of water you can collect, multiply the area of your roof in square meters times the amount of rain received each year in meter. So next, multiply these values. Suppose you have rainfall, we know India have rainfall 1170 meter. So multiply these values by 0.909 to account the evaporation and other losses, and then multiply this result by 1000 to determine the number of liters. So when we multiply these figure, we find 1,05,300 liters water per year. So next we will talk about the storage. Storage system can vary in complexity depending on one's need. An effective system can involve a 250 liter drum fed by rooftop gutters and downspout. A more involved system might include buried cisterns, plumbing and timed watering system. Debris and leaves should be filtered before storing the water by placing screens over gutters or downspouts. Water kept in tanks or cisterns should also be covered to minimize algal growth and eliminate the potential for mosquito breeding to avoid dengue and malaria. Placing flooding lids on storage tank is an effective solution. So now we move to the next component, that is distribution. Gutters, that is a narrow channel which collects rainwater from the roof of a building and divert it away from the structure, typically into a drain. Downspout is a vertical pipe for carrying rainwater from a rain gutter to ground level. Berm that is a level of space, shelf or raised barrier separating two areas and swells, that is a low land tract of land, especially one that is moist or marshy. So, these can be designed to catch rainwater. Any method, any type can be used and distribute it directly to landscape plant or into the soil. Many people store harvested rainwater and then distribute it later through their regular drip irrigation system. So, next is a system maintenance. Water harvesting system require occasional maintenance and that is easily accomplished. Debris streams over gutters should be cleaned periodically and storage tanks should be drained and cleaned when it is convenient to do so. So, we have talked about component, catchment, coarse mesh, gutter. So, catchment area we have already know is a surface which directly receives rainfall and it can be terrace, lawn or ground, open ground. Roof may be reinforced, cement, concrete, galvanized iron or corrugated sheets can also be used for water collection. Coarse mesh is the roof to prevent the passage of debris. Gutter channels all around the edge of a sloping roof to collect and transport rainwater to the storage tank. First flushing. A first flush device is a valve that ensures the runoff from the first spell or drainage flushed out and it does not enter the system, as the first spell of drain carries large amount of the pollutant from the air and catchment surface. Conduits are the pipelines or drains that carries rainwater from the catchment or rooftop area to the harvesting system, and conduits can be made by any material like polyvinyl chloride, PVC or galvanized iron material that can be commonly available. So, what are the advantages of the rainwater harvesting? First, increase water availability, raising of water tables in wells and bore wells, improving the quality of groundwater, mitigation of effects of droughts, check or declining water table, reduction of soil erosion and decreasing choking of drain and flooding of roads. So, it is environmentally friendly method that improves the quality of groundwater through the dilution of fluoride, nitrate and salinity, saving in energy to lift groundwater to rooftop. 1 meter rises in water level saves 0.40 kilowatt hours per electricity. And what can a common citizen or an individual can do to conserve water? First, do not use soap and detergent while bathing and washing in a river. Do not throw harmful chemicals, regius and other waste in river water. Do not waste water. Use only one bucket to have bath. Repair leaking taps and pipes. So, this is all about rainwater harvesting. Before we wrap up, we would like to recap the main points once again. So, we know earth has a plenty of water, 2/3 of water around the earth have water, but fresh water is only a small fraction, that is almost 3%. With growing demand of water, its resources are overexploited. Although plenty of rainwater occurs in India, due to its uneven distribution over time and space, it faces severe water scarcity in the many part of the world around and as well as in India. For feeding ever growing population, India needs to grow more and more grains. Since the duration of rainfall is short, only 40 days in a year, so and all our agricultural activities depend on irrigation. So, irrigation consumes nearly 85% of the total water used in India. With increased demand for agriculture and other activities, development activities, water resources are overexploited. Urbanization and industrialization further aggravate the situation by overexploiting and polluting the water resources. So, we can say conservation is one of the most important and simple method of water conservation. Rainwater harvesting is one of the most important and simple method of water conservation, and rainwater harvesting is a collection of rainwater and its storage for direct use or for percolating in the ground to artificially recharge of groundwater. So, traditional rainwater harvesting throughout the world is various means. This is an ancient tradition, it is not a new, and there are evidences of rainwater harvesting in industrial civilization, industrially Palestinian, Greek and Roman civilization. They had wisdom of conserving water. Rainwater harvesting is getting significant importance in recent past due to severe scarcity being faced in many parts of the world, including India. Several initiatives are taken by the Government of India and various state government and NGOs to promote rainwater harvesting in the country. Many local bodies are considering making it mandatory to install rainwater harvesting system in housing complex, large buildings and offices. So, dear learners, this is all about methods of rainwater harvesting, which is lesson number 30A of optional module 1, water resource management. So, we will come again to meet you in new program for environmental science. Till then, goodbye and thank you.